So the idea is that we're going to create a lightweight voting system for people of refined tastes, people who are so busy, people who tend to make it their life's work to reach inbox zero, who cringe at the sight of yet another form that they have to fill out. Having said all of this, today we're going to be taking a look at Mixmax. Mixmax is a handy marketing automation tool that we're going to turn into a lightweight, nimble voting system. Let's take a look. So we're going to kick things off as we usually do with a very quick demo. And here we go. We've got a VC base. Essentially, we're impersonating a VC angel investment company, that sort of thing. And we have a campaign here, right? We have a pre-seed deal for a company called Cloud Nova. Totally fabricated, totally made up, nothing real. The deal data is here. There's like some round details, you know, how much money they're trying to raise and all that sort of good stuff. By the way, we also have members. So we have John, Jimmy. We need to let these people know that, hey, we've got this deal coming up. Are you interested in investing in this company? So let's go ahead and just press send campaign. The magic should start happening as long as I've set up everything right. And here we go. Starting up, campaign responses, Jimmy, John. We've got everything ready to go. Technically, we've sent those emails out to our members. And here we go. We've got our first email. And you can see here, hey, John, blah, 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 with like your feedback and yada, yada, yada. Let's say John says, no, I don't want to invest. And that's the whole beauty of the whole system. It's the fact that you can reply straight from your inbox. There's really nothing else. So let's see if Jimmy... Yep, Jimmy got that email as well. And let's say Jimmy says, yes, thank you for your answer. And if I jump back into my VC base, in theory, I should now see those people's responses over here. Now, it takes some time. Sometimes it's instant. Sometimes it can take, well, I mean, I've seen like up to an hour for these responses to actually propagate through the system. So let's give it a couple of minutes to actually refresh. And here we go. Our responses are now in. That's basically it. That's the idea. Let's go ahead and actually see how the database is set up behind the scenes. Now, before we go any further, I would like to say that we appreciate absolutely every single person who watches this channel. We're trying to reach a goal of 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year, 2024. I know what you're thinking. This is kind of like a lame target, but we're a small channel. Let's up the ante. If we get 10,000 subscribers by that date, I will say bye-bye to my most precious possession. My beard. Yes, I know. Sometimes we have to kill our darlings for the greater good. Although I know I am going to severely regret this. So the database is actually quite straightforward. That was the whole purpose. I wanted to make this as simple as possible for people to follow. We basically have a deals table. That's basically how VCs track things. They have deals that are related to certain startups typically. This is what we're doing here. The round is pre-seed. We have a first name. It's like a name field on the very left. There I'm just concatenating the round and the company. We have the round, which is just a basic drop down. We have the company, which is a link to companies, logo, which is just a lookup, round details, use of funds, investor statement, and so forth, just text fields. And of course, we have companies, which is technically how also a lot of VCs structure their data. There's the website, there's the logo, there's the link back to the deals. We also have members. It's the members that we want to notify about certain deals, and you can filter them. Like you can create conditions where, you know, if it's an active or inactive member, you can basically set this up. But for the simplistic example that we're working with here, there's no need to filter anything. And yeah, campaigns. So campaigns, again, super straightforward. There's one hidden field, which is the campaign record ID. Not a big deal, but the rest of it is kind of self-explanatory. If you know how Airtable works, it's all very, very clear. We have our link to deals, we have our sending status, simple text, we have our trigger, the send campaign. I'm going to talk about the automation in a sec. We have our campaign responses, total members emailed, and of course you can create filters here to say, hey, you know what? How many people's responses equaled yes, and that's going to be one. That was Jimmy. So that way you can kind of gauge how many emails you've sent, how many people have responded, and how many people have responded in certain fashions, so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not to actually run that investment round for that particular company. That's basically it. We also have campaign responses, which again, super straightforward. We just have a name field that concatenates the response, and if the response is empty, we'll just print NA here. Otherwise, we print the response. We also have the link to the member, a lookup of the email address. We have the link to the campaign, the lookup of the deal name from the campaign. We are also then cleaning that up, that string, and just creating a string from this lookup. Technically, behind the scenes brings up a record ID. We don't want that. And here we also have another lookup for campaign record ID and our very simple response single line text. That's it. Let's take a look at how we've set up Mixmax in order for this whole thing to work. It's a lovely little system. I've used it for a while, and to be honest, this whole idea for this video came like 2 years ago, and I don't know why I haven't done a review on Mixmax yet, but let's talk about the setup that we've got running here. So the first thing that you need to do is jump into email templates. This is how I've set up my template, and I'm going to give you some very key tips here. So if you're DIYing this, this is important. So first of all, we begin our template with a picture. So how do I add this? Just jump into enhance, and there is an image that you can add. Now, once you add it, just jump into edit, and technically you will already have this in edit mode. And this is how it comes up on my end. Image source equals, and you see how I've put in a value here, which is the variable value, 2 curly brackets, pic, PIC, and then 2 close brackets. So basically I'm creating a dynamic variable in there. That's basically it. Make sure that you do that on your end as well if you want to add a picture like I have. Then I have a very simple, again, just a basic variable called name. Very straightforward, nothing too crazy. Now the next thing is important because it is not easy to bring in Markdown into Mixmax. So you see how my round details looking clean in Airtable? Well, in order for them to look as clean and sexy inside of your template when you're actually sending that email, you have to actually add an HTML component. Jump into an enhance, look for custom HTML, and as soon as you place that in, go edit and place a simple variable like so. HTML underscore round detail, because that's where I want to print my round detail stuff in. I did the same thing for funds. Again, custom HTML component. Now, the next thing is the most important thing that you kind of need to know in order to facilitate voting. This, again, is a very simple enhance component. Let me just find it. A yes/no survey. As soon as you add it in, jump into edit, and all you have to do is just edit this particular part. If you're following the video, just make sure that you've written interested in, a space, campaign subject, and a question mark. Technically, your options are yes, no, and maybe, but maybe you want to remove maybe and just want to keep it as a yes or no in order for it to be like a real yes or no question. But anyway, bottom line, that's what you kind of need to do here. Now, let's talk about the final thing that you kind of have to set up, because you have to make sure that the system listens for responses and brings those responses back. And we're going to talk about the make automation side of things, but you have to have a rule set up, and rules run on a more premium subscription of Mixmax. So take a look at that. But anyway, you have to set up a rule. The trigger is a poll. Someone answers my yes or no question. You can add filters in there if you want. I don't need a filter for now. Webhooks, and just print in the webhook that you're gonna get from that listening scenario from Make. And we're gonna discuss that in a sec. That's basically it. As soon as that's in there, nothing else is really needed. Activate and close, and you're done. Now let's take a look at how to set up our scenarios in make.com. And it all starts with scenario number 1, the one that actually sends the campaign out to our members. Very straightforward thing to do, nothing really crazy. So let's just jump right in. So the first thing to do is set up your trigger. Our trigger is when we press send campaign. And if you've been a frequent visitor of our channel, you know that we typically trigger things from Airtable the same way every single time. So in our case, just jump into automations, the trigger inside of Airtable, of course, is campaigns when send campaign is checked. We run the same script every single time. The only thing that you have to do, of course, is to change this particular webhook URL. Don't forget to edit the name and add the dynamic variable of Airtable record ID over here just by pressing this blue button. Don't forget to change this. Don't use my webhook address, just use the one that Make gives you from the scenario that you've just created. And if you're new to Make, welcome. It's a beautiful little automation tool that professionals like myself use all day, every day. When you create a new scenario and you add your custom webhook module over here on the very left, just copy this address to clipboard and paste it in here. Finish editing. Turn the automation on. How many times have I forgotten to do that? Yeah, that's basically it. You're done with the triggering of the scenario. Now, let's talk about the scenario itself. First of all, the webhook, we've already discussed that. Next, we get the campaign. So the record ID, the payload, in other words, that you get from this webhook when it triggers is the record ID of that campaign. All we have to do is just get more data on it. Then we get the deal from that particular campaign. Then we update that campaign with a little bit of text to say, hey, starting up, and we just put in the timestamp of right now, basically, so that the user is aware that something's happening, the system is working. From there, we get the members, and it's actually quite straightforward. In my case, I'm not filtering my members. I just bring all the members in like so from my members table inside of my base. I have a filter. First and foremost, email exists. Because we're going to be sending out an email, we want to make sure that we've got our emails straight. From there, we have total number of bundles not equal to 0. And again, another filter over here, total number of bundles not equal to 0. From there, we search the campaign participants, like so. We then create participants for that campaign. Basically, we want to make sure that we don't, if we want to run the campaign multiple times and we've already emailed, 5 people, and now we have 5 new members that we would like to ask if they are interested, we don't want to be emailing people multiple times. So this particular search and this filter act as little guards to make sure that we don't keep emailing people twice. Maybe I need to put, actually, you know what? I probably need to put this somewhere else. It's really not in the right place. But anyway, bottom line is that we then create our participants. We actually then search Mixmax for the email based on the email. From there, there is another filter where number of bundles equals to 0. We want to make sure that, hey, if that person is not in Mixmax as a contact, we actually go ahead and create that contact straight forward, very easy. And then we update that member with the Mixmax contact ID that we get from 37. The meat and potatoes, this little route over here. First of all, you see how I'm basically doing this little operation of converting my markdown text into HTML. Super straightforward. I'm using a markdown to HTML module. I'm putting my markdown text, round details in this case, and then I transform that into JSON. Then I'm doing exactly the same thing for use of funds, transform that into JSON. If I wanted to add more details, I would have to, of course, add this into my Mixmax template and do the same thing in here to make sure that payload that we're going to be sending to Mixmax actually is JSON friendly. Mixmax, make an API call. This is the most interesting thing. So first of all, you need to use this particular endpoint, v1 snippets. And again, depending if you're watching this like way into the future, maybe this endpoint has changed, so double check. But yeah, this particular part over here though is the ID of the template. So just jump into your templates, click on the template and copy this particular ID over here. That's basically it. Copy that and paste it in here, /send. Method is post. And this is what you roughly need to know about how to set up the body. So to looks like this: email, the email of the participant, the member, the name of the member. The variables now are also set up in this particular way: name, campaign subject. And I want you to pay close attention to this particular variable, the HTML round detail. So this is roughly how you need to place them. There are no quote marks at the beginning of this or at the end of this because the text is already pre-formatted for JSON. The pic is there as well for the picture, the little logo that we decided to put into our template. That's all set up like so. I'm just fetching it from Airtable, from module number 30, somewhere over here where I'm getting the details of the deal. That now will send that email out with the dynamic data to the members. The next thing, of course, is to publish a quick little update to our campaign to say, hey, successfully sent. And I'm also bringing in the sending status from module 20 because I want to keep a log of when did the scenario start and when was it successfully sent. That's it. In terms of the first part, the second automation that listens to the responses is actually quite straightforward. Again, it starts with a custom webhook. It's the one that we need to use in our rules, like I showed you earlier over here. This webhook over here is this webhook that Make gives us. We grab the webhook from here, put it into our rule. From there, we just get the campaign name like so from the payload. From there, we search our campaign responses table for a combination of the respondent and the campaign name. Very straightforward. From there, as soon as there is a result, in other words, total number of bundles not equal to 0, in other words, when we find a match for that respondent for that campaign, we go ahead and we update that campaign response with the answer that we get from the webhook. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this particular video on Mixmax and how to create a quick little voting system. Let me know down in the comments below if you've enjoyed this video. I have a few other ideas about how to use Mixmax in some interesting situations that we've encountered in the past. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.